This video recipe comes from the Disney Villains cookbook, and it is actually a drink from Beauty and the Beast. It is called Chocolate Mud Puddle. Put the little picture of it there. It's basically just hot chocolate. This is kind of a basic, simple recipe where you take some cocoa powder and some milk, and then there's one secret ingredient I'm surprised about, but I think it'll be really nice. And then you mix it together and you heat it on your stove, which is what I have going over here. So I'm letting it kind of warm up, and then when it's done, I'm gonna pour it in a mug, sprinkle a few marshmallows on top, and have a nice warm drink. Cheers, here is my chocolate mud puddle all done and ready to drink. Let's take a sip. Yeah, that's pretty tasty. All right, I'm gonna enjoy this, and then I'll come back with my final thoughts. Final thought and review on the chocolate mud puddle, which is basically just hot cocoa. I personally like a good hot cocoa, especially around the holidays. I love just making a nice warm cup of hot cocoa when I watch my Hallmark Christmas movies. There's something about it that just puts me in the spirit, probably because they're always drinking hot cocoa in those movies. But I did enjoy this. I mean, I will admit with hot cocoa, I'm one of those ones that tends to just buy the packets, you know, the little powder packets of chocolate, and then I either warm up water or milk and just pour it together, and there's my hot cocoa. So I appreciate this recipe as far as, you know, it's basically cocoa powder and milk and one other ingredient, which I'm not going to give away. You'll have to buy the cookbook. But I will say it was an ingredient that I had never thought to put in hot cocoa, but when I saw it, it's like, oh yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense. That could be really good, and I did enjoy it. Overall, I really did like this hot cocoa. I will say, I think the cocoa powder that you use really will affect the taste. And for me, mine was a little bitter, you know? I think that was just the chocolate that I chose to use. I didn't want anything too sweet. So I noticed as I drank it that, you know, the marshmallows, like when I took a sip with a marshmallow, I enjoyed that a little bit more because of the sweetness that the marshmallow added to it. So I kind of started stirring it around in my cup. And then I finished it with, you know, the marshmallows kind of melted into the mix. So it helped a lot. It made it vastly better in my opinion, but it was still really good. That being said, let's get into my ranking system. The first ranking are the ingredients on a scale of 1 to 5, and these I rank as a 1, which means they're all easy, simple to find, relatively inexpensive ingredients. I will say you could consider rating this higher than a 1, like a 2 or 1.5, if you're comparing the cost to just those cocoa packet mixes, you know? But I mean, for me, I had these ingredients in hand. I had milk, I had cocoa powder, and I actually had the other ingredient on hand. So for me, it was nothing extra. I didn't have to spend anything extra to go do this recipe. Ease of making this on a scale of 1 to 5, with 1 being easy and 5 being hard. I guess I'll give it like a 1.5. It could be a 1. I mean, the hardest thing with this, honestly, is just making sure that you're stirring it on the stove and whisking it, and that you're watching the milk so that it doesn't boil over or anything like that. It's just getting the milk to that right temperature. So that's why it's maybe not super, super simple, but it's fairly easy. I mean, I feel like anybody could really do this. And then would I make this again on a scale of 1 to 5, with 1 being never and 5 being definitely? I'm definitely giving it a 5. I really enjoyed this version of a chocolate mud puddle, or hot cocoa, what I'm going to call it, and I could definitely see myself making this in the future.